Hi there. Welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we give you 4 or 5 cool tech and science stories in the news, get you on your way in about 20 minutes. If there is something that you want us to cover one of these weeks, reach out, Creation Station at broward.org. Or if you don't want to hit an email, we've got a survey link that you can drop things into and give us anything that you need, fully anonymous, just for the Creation Station. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for asking. I appreciate that.
Now, the official title over there is still it's Senior Community Library Manager. You got like one of the more complicated things here.
I am the Community Library Manager Senior at West Regional Library here in Plantation. Also, is on my door says Assistant Regional Manager for the Central Cluster of Broward County Library. So, yeah.
Which is a lot of places. You've got like what?
Yes.
14?
Yes.
Something like that?
No. I think it's like, 10?
He hasn't been doing it this long. He's only been out there a couple months.
Yeah, July 29th. Yes, July 29th. Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, but it's been a good time. It's been a good time. Yeah, exciting and everything. Just seeing the opportunity to come out here and work with the staff. The staff is wonderful, and engaging the customers. And they're so busy.
You're in the middle of everything out there.
Yeah,
the library, the courthouse, the bus depot, the emergency operations center, the hospital is all within what, like 100 yards of you. It's insane.
Walking. Yes, exactly.
I don't mean to get too personal, Michael, but are you older than 24?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit older than 24.
Okay. Because there is we are celebrating a new milestone today.
What's that?
It is October 31st, which means as of October 30th, we have had humans living in space for 24 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yesterday was the day that they first started manning the International Space Station on a full-time basis.
Okay.
Is that craziness?
I know. That's interesting.
Do you know how many people are alive right now that never lived in a time where people weren't living in space?
I don't know what the number is.
I know. That's just mind-blowing. It's just how many of these kids, how many of these, they're just like, yeah, okay, we always did this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're only a few months away from 2 space stations being fully lived in for multiple years.
Oh, really?
China's about to celebrate year number 3.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's insane.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And speaking of the future, tell me, Michael, go.
Well, no. When you talk about that, my mind always goes to the probes that they're sending to Mars and everything. It makes me think about that.
Yeah.
And how long it's going to take before they put a person on Mars, and I know that's very, very, a large amount of work they have to do to make it happen and everything.
You're spoiling our last story there, Michael.
Oh, okay. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah,
okay, I'll slow down.
We'll cover part of that later on because there's a really important next space story to end with also. There's a couple of cool ones here today, but this one caught my eye, and I know most people are out there saying, "Okay, yeah, who cares, Bob? It's a ferry over in Scandinavia. Why do I care about that?" So number one, this is the first fully electric hydrofoil ferry doing regular runs. It's not an experiment. This is not a test. This is working and doing and running all the things in Stockholm. But the reason why, and you can see the pictures, it's a hydrofoil. So instead of being a regular boat where the hull is down in the water and propellers and everything are down there, this rises up on that hydrofoil and races along, which is really cool for South Florida, where we have all these no wake zones because you would hit the wildlife like manatees and things. This can keep on going because there's no wake. There's no propellers down there to harm the sea life. So you could be sending these things up and down the intercoastal, out into the ocean, all around, without harming any wildlife.
Yeah.
Would you get in one of these?
Well, you said, would I get into it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it seems like it's safe enough, and they're working on it. So yeah, of
Oh
course,
yeah.
of course, yeah. I mean, some of the things I think about, as of course, I think about electric cars
Hmm.
when I was going through the article and everything. My mind ran to electric cars. And so it makes me think about some of the benefits that they talk about with electric cars. So they mentioned some of the things in the article, reducing the noise pollution from the ferries, and just as you mentioned, some of the waves destroying some of the ecosystem and everything. So those are the things that I thought about when I was looking through the article.
Hmm.
Looking at the battery capacity, the speed, I think it goes up to about 40 miles per hour, like
Yeah.
37, 40 miles per hour. And just looking at the capacity, I think it was around 75 people was the capacity. And so I think that these things are fantastic. I often wonder from the business side, um, when you're introducing a new product, it kind of takes away from another product. And
Yeah.
there's always this contention that goes on between the existing technology versus the new kid on the block, if I may say, and
Hmm.
how that's gonna play out.
Yeah. And I wonder, just along those lines, like we have a water, for anyone who's not aware of, down here in Broward County in Fort Lauderdale, there's a water taxi. We've got canals
Hmm.
all over the place. And this thing goes twice as fast as that water taxi. Would
Hmm.
more people take the water taxi going up and down and around, just like mass transit, if it went that fast?
Yeah. Hmm.
It's an interesting thing. Now I got
Hmm.
2 stories from Gizmodo, which
Okay.
both stories are good articles. They're really on target. They've got some good background stuff. I just hate the headlines. So our first one is standing desks might be bad for your health. And it's like, no, yes. It's really frustrating because that's the headline, but then in their entire article they point out all the stuff about you shouldn't be sitting for very long and you shouldn't be standing for very long. You need to
Hmm.
move, you need to
Yeah.
walk.
Hmm.
And I'm
Well, it's
just
one.
tell
Well,
me.
well, I'm sorry for cutting you off,
No.
but as I was going through the article, it's just one of those things. Like you're mentioning, you should be standing too long. Should not be sitting too long. It just shows that we should do a variety of things. Because as I was going through the article, as I learned about these standing desks years ago, all the hype about it, all the excitement about it was like, oh, you can stand up and you can burn some calories because you're standing up and everything. And then you see an article like this. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
what's going on here?
Yeah.
So.
And basically it's a question of if you're standing for too long in one spot,
Mhm.
your varicose veins and the blood
Mhm.
pools at the
Yeah.
bottom of your feet and things like that.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
this is one of those rare times where reading the comments was fun because they kept pointing out that, and I've got the original article from the Conversation, which is a website we follow a lot here.
Mhm.
And people were teasing about, well, it's in Australia, so it's actually, you can't be sitting because you'll be too close to the wildlife, and if you're standing, then that means the blood's going to rush to your head because you're upside down. And I'm just like, at least it was fun. But
Yeah.
as always, we have all of the links in the show notes for you
Hmm. Well,
because, yeah,
the
tell me.
comments are sometimes, like you said, very, very entertaining to see some of the comments. And so, but as I was going through the article, I was looking at how they were talking about standing for a long time can increase your pain and discomfort. And also, what was interesting is that they linked the standing for a long period of time to lower productivity. And so
Yeah.
that's interesting how they tied those two together.
Yeah. And I think that this becomes one of those things where in the past, more factory oriented jobs type of thing, manufacturing, where you're
Hmm.
standing and backbreaking work and everybody kind of got over the end, and you replaced a bunch of those with automation and robots, but they all
Hmm.
understood you need to move, you need to do things. They have
Yeah.
anti-fatigue mats, they have all that stuff there. And office workers don't do that for some reason.
Hmm.
I don't know why.
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm.
And then they got this other one, jaw-dropping report. And I'm like, do you remember back in we covered this in season 1 of our show when Arecibo collapsed, the huge radio
Yes.
telescope in Puerto Rico.
Yes. Hmm.
And you can see the ruined picture here where it's got the big towers that were holding up the
Yes.
receiver in the middle of it all.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
what happened was back in 2017, there was a Hurricane Maria that hit Puerto Rico, tremendous amount of damage all over the island, and it ruined Arecibo, the telescope. It's a big, huge radio telescope, and it caused damage that wasn't ever repaired.
Hmm.
And I'm like, that's not jaw-dropping. That's neglect. That is government being stupid and saying, hey, we've got this big, huge, expensive telescope that we know got damaged, but we never get around to funding it to repair it. And I'm like, really? I mean, we've both worked in government for a long time, Michael. Is that jaw-dropping to you that they wouldn't budget and plan it right?
Well, as you were talking, it made me think about when it talked about the maintenance failures contributing to the collapse. We see that often where there's a certain maintenance interval things need to be going through.
Yeah.
And, because of various reasons, whatever those reasons are, it could be budgetary reasons, it could be, lack of oversight, short staff, or whatever the case may be, the maintenance is not done on a regular basis. And then you end up with some situation that happened. As I was going through and thinking about the maintenance issue, it made me think about the collapse in Surfside of the condo.
Yeah.
Surfside.
See,
And
really nice analogy, Michael.
Yeah. And so they link that to the lack of maintenance in the building. And now you have all of this legislation coming out where the condos are being forced to have the appropriate reserves, and it's causing this huge domino effect in the condo industry.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where if you would have paid for it all along, it's a lot cheaper to pay that little bit every month than to pay that big bill at the end when it screws up, all screws up.
Yeah.
And I do want to give them credit because I put a link to the actual real paper from National Academy of Science and Engineering and Medicine that talks all about what really happened with there. And there is this actual, it's called zinc creep that was affecting the joints and connectors. And it was exacerbated, and they didn't know this until closer to the collapse, that all along the radiation from the telescope had been affecting the joints.
Oh, okay.
But they didn't know this because nobody bothered to do the maintenance to find out. And so the papers are there. Go read it if you're interested. If you've got any kind of engineering interest, this is a really good story for you to see exactly how things are supposed to work. And as Michael just said, how maintenance.
Yeah, and then also they talk about a series of design flaws. That's one of the things that stood out to me in the article. And when I think about design flaws, I think about how when these things are being designed, and a lot of times these companies are trying to take in consideration all the various things that they could think of that could happen, but there's certain things that happen that there's beyond their scope of planning for, and something happens, and then certain things fall apart as a result of that.
Yeah. And it's planning. You're giving me some really nice transitions there, Sir Michael. Planning and anticipating things. And so there is a OpenAI professional model that hospitals, it's called Whisper. A lot of hospitals have been using this. It's a transcription thing. So we could, in theory, have this running now. I don't need to. And it would just record all of the stuff that we say. It assigns it to people so it knows who said what. And it puts it all out there. Now we've got an easy to use transcript of your conversations for meetings and everything like that. Except it's making stuff up. Which is bad enough. If it was you and me in a meeting talking about Bookfest or something like that, that's bad enough. But when it's a hospital and it's making up things about what does this patient have or not have, or what tests have been done, and it turns out part of it is they did not figure out that when no one's talking, the AI just thinks, well, somebody said something. I think this is what they meant to say.
Mm-hmm.
You want jaw dropping? There you go.
It's hallucinating, right? It's
Yeah.
just making it up. I often wonder about the AI. You and I talked about it. You and I talked about AI so many times, and just where is the technology headed? How's it going to be implemented? And I think that we see this with almost every technology when it's introduced, that there's trying to contain it, trying to direct it in the proper way is always a challenge. And this AI, I think, is going to be very, very big because of the magnitude of what it can actually do.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that we're growing there, and I think this is a case of, oh wait, we can slap AI on this and make some more money and do something before we even test to make sure that it's actually appropriate for this application or tailored to this application. Because you and I have both used transcript software in Teams in multiple things. If you're watching this live on YouTube, there is a transcription there that has very little to do with AI. It's really just voice recognition, tracking what you said and putting it in. It'll get a word wrong every once in a while, but those watching the live broadcast are catching our words really well. We don't need AI to do that.
Well, we were talking earlier, and in the article it talked about the incorrect information, just the domino effect that could cause. You read about some of the stories where someone goes into the hospital to have a medical procedure, and they were supposed to remove A, but they accidentally removed B, or something to that effect. And this is a major thing to be aware of.
And these transcripts will be used in court. It's like, so who said this? Well, nobody. There was nobody there in the room at the time to say that, because we all paused. It's just like, come on. We have one more space story for everybody, because I haven't done any space stories for like 2 weeks. So just this week, I had to do this one here. So when the Orion space capsule, Artemis 2, that was up last year, and it came back, and it came back without people. Next trip, which is going to be in 2027, we really hope, it is going to go out and do a full loop around the moon and come back. This was the test run for it, and grab that picture to show. There's coming back. Very cool images there. Here we go. So when it came back, the heat shield, it's semi-similar to what the space shuttle heat shields were like. They ended up all this, not only burned and charred, but pitted in all these things. So this is obviously a big problem. You don't want, we all remember, or most of us remember, the Columbia disaster, where there was damage in a heat shield. The heat got through, blew up the whole shuttle. So obviously we can't have that happening here. But then again, we get into this whole, oh, NASA's keeping it a secret, not telling anybody. And it's like, they've been trying to tell us. They're studying it. They're getting all their facts together. They're going to tell us what went wrong when they know how to fix it. They're not just going to tell us this went wrong without telling us how it's going to be fixed.
Well, as I was looking at the article, the big thing is, for me personally, it's like, okay, well, I don't want to point fingers because that's not really helpful or
Yeah.
anything like that. The main thing is that you want the technology to work and to work at an optimal level so people can be safe as they're going on these missions and everything. So a lot of times I kind of just take the position of just wait and see, let all the data come out and things of that nature,
Yeah.
and not jump so fast to say, okay, well, I need to throw an opinion out there.
Mhm.
Space is exciting, it's
Space is hard.
interesting. Yeah. I mean, I look at some of the things online and read some of the articles about the hostile environment that space really is and how challenging that is to organizations like NASA.
Yeah, to me, I think one of the worst aspects of all this is it's all also tied up in U.S. politics because they
Mhm,
have to wait and see who wins the election to know who's going to have the funding to fix this.
mhm,
And I'm like, just fund it, just fix it. This is
mhm.
something that everybody needs, and we all want this. We all need this. Just why are we doing this on a yearly basis? Why don't we have a good plan and just pay for everything up front? You
Mhm.
know, that's ah, ah. We're gonna just fix the world, Michael.
Yes, indeed.
We're gonna do
Give
this
us
all.
give us 20 more minutes. We'll do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, maybe. What's going on up there at West Regional you want to brag about?
Oh, well, like I said earlier, West Regional is so busy over here at the library. Um, we have a fantastic staff here at the library. They do a great job of organizing events for the community. Our friends at the library are so supportive in helping to sponsor several of the events. And one of the things that I just want to talk about, some of the health events that we do here.
Oh
And the
yeah,
reason why I thought about it is because we talked about the desk, the
yeah.
standing desk, and things of that nature. But just real quick, I just wanted to mention some of the classes that we have here for health. We have a Tai Chi class. We do a ageless grace class. We have a strength and balance class. We have a insanity workout class that we do here, and we do a meditation and movement class. And all of these programs here we offer for
Oh,
free for the
free.
community. And we want the community to come here to the library and use this facility, improve your health, have a fantastic time. And one of the one of the great things about it too, Bob, as we were looking at some of the articles, and so I think about what you and I are doing right now. You and I are not in the same physical space, and there's so many great benefits to things online and being able to do what we're doing right now, to chat with each other, not be in the same space, and at the same time being in the same space with other people is a
The shared
fantastic
communal
thing.
experience.
Exactly. I look at the class where some of these people are coming here for one reason. They're coming for a health class like meditation or yoga, and they walk out with friends
Mhm.
as a result of attending the class in person with 40 other people.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
Mhm.
Libraries are pretty cool, people. You should come pay attention
Yes,
to us.
exactly. Mhm.
If there's a library you'd like to see featured, reach out. Creation Station at Broward.org, and we'll see everybody next week.
All right. Thank you. Take
Have
care.
a great day.